Vanoggend gesels ek weer met Fred Hume en hy is die besturende direkteur by Hume International en ons gesels vanoggend rondom die nuutste nuus as dit kom by die implementering van invoertariewe, veral as ons kyk na onlangse SwartRyp by aartappels. Sy dis omtrent 'n mond vol. Fred, welcome to GROOTplaas.
Good morning, Mia. Thanks for having me.
It's always such a pleasure to talk to you. Fred, let's dive into it. I think if crop failures like black frost are likely to reoccur, what specific mechanisms do you believe could be put in place to prevent sudden price surges? What can be done?
Right. Okay, Mia, so I've got a long answer to a short question for you.
We've got time. Don't worry, so go.
Okay, excellent. So, the Limpopo province was most severely affected by black frost in July of this year. The local potato industry they actually projected very accurately that the most acute shortage would be felt in the month of September, and that was exactly what transpired.
Yeah.
So we saw the prices of fresh potatoes escalate, and they peaked in September. October, quite a bit of product came to market, and the price dropped back significantly. But our argument here is we already knew in July that we were going to be short of potatoes in September.
Yeah.
A significant amount of the fresh potatoes produced in this country are diverted to the manufacture of French fries. If at that point a mechanism was in place whereby the duties on imported French fries could have been rebated immediately, all of the available fresh potatoes could have been diverted to the fresh market, which would have suppressed the price of fresh potatoes being sold in stores around the country.
Yeah.
And of course, we would then have not suffered a lack of French fries because we would have been able to import product at affordable and cost-effective prices because the duty would have been rebated.
I think if we look at a system like this, how would it be implemented in practice, practically?
Well, Mia, we've got a recent example stemming from the poultry industry. So earlier this year, in fact, the first quarter of this year, government rebated poultry imports from all origins approved for South Africa at the time. And this lasted for a period of 3 months. And that largely assisted in curtailing severe price increases due to a lack of poultry as a result of the avian flu outbreak at the time.
Yeah.
So this mechanism is now in place, and if ever, and of course it's going to happen again, when next, I should rather say then,
yes.
When next we suffer an avian flu outbreak in this country, one can switch that rebate on with, basically by the stroke of a pen. It gets gazetted on a Thursday. By Friday, we can start making plans to import product.
Yeah. I think the next logical question is, you've stressed the need to distinguish between fresh potatoes and frozen French fries, with frozen French fries being accurately undersupplied. How should policymakers specifically address the unique supply-demand for frozen fries while still safeguarding the local fresh potato industry and market? That's a big question.
Big question, short answer this time.
Yeah.
So as you quite rightly earlier mentioned, we certainly have to distinguish between fresh potatoes being sold in that form and frozen French fries. South Africa does manufacture frozen French fries to a degree. I wouldn't say that the varieties produced in this country are the most suitable for the production of French fries. And if you consider the anti-dumping duties that were imposed, some companies have been afforded a duty-free status, or rather, some companies as well as some countries which were typically not exporting product to South Africa at the time of the anti-dumping review.
Yeah.
So if AartappelRamp were to review this again, you might find that, say, France would be included in the group with Belgium and the Netherlands, where they suffered, and Germany for that matter, where the harshest anti-dumping duties were imposed. But we're all for promoting local. If there's sufficient product locally, and you're able to cover the market cost effectively, great. No need for imports. But unfortunately, that's not the case. And you see these spikes in prices. And I do believe that it must affect the hospitality industry quite quite badly. Many of these establishments have to print menus. It's very difficult, to predict the cost of your final product if some of the raw materials or ingredients, such as the French fries, fluctuate wildly in price, over the course of a given year.
I just want to say not so short answer, so I got you there. Fred, you mentioned the dumping. I just want to take a few minutes just to focus on that. The whole dumping, why is it so worrying?
Well, so AartappelRamp are tasked with basically, I guess, ensuring that product is not sold into the South African market by foreign producers at prices lower than what they are selling for in their domestic markets. In a sense, I do believe, and that's probably a story for another day. But when these anti-dumping duties were decided upon, we do believe that the methodology was flawed, and it should be open and subject to review. And certainly, I believe that importers should, and let's call it then players in retail and FMCG should have been consulted, in addition to domestic producers. And I don't quite understand why the domestic producers of potatoes feel so threatened by imports of French fries. We have manufacturers of French fries in this country that import from plants that they own in countries that are not included in the anti-dumping, such as the UK and France. So domestic producers, that are, I guess, saying they're looking to protect, domestic production and jobs, they are also merely importing when they're short of product, but they have the ability to import from their own factories in countries that were not included in the anti-dumping investigations. And that's not a level playing field, Mia.
Yes. You're actually teaching me something here this morning, because I never thought of the fact that, fresh potatoes and French fries, that there's a bit of a tug of war between them. I always just thought, farmers who do potatoes, who farm with potatoes, that the French fries comes from them. Is it am I the only one that thought that?
I guess it's a logical assumption, Mia. But so you have growers in the country, and they would then typically sell to producers of French fries that specialize in the production of that product or potato products. And there are a number of others, like, for argument's sake, hash browns and mashed potato and croquettes, etc. But the bulk of the product produced from French fries are frozen French fries, as well as crisps, dried crisps.
That's very interesting. When we look at ITAC's response, how quickly would ITAC need to act to implement a rebate in order to prevent severe impacts on consumers and businesses?
Well, Mia, for this year, it's done and dusted. Nothing much we can do about it. I do believe, however, considering that we knew in July that we were going to be short of product running right up until the end of September, we imposed the cost on the consumer in this country and the users of the product in let's call it in the FMCG space that could have been prevented. Because at the end of the day, there was no product available. I'm here speaking about frozen French fries. And in fact, fresh potatoes were dramatically and drastically short too, and increased hugely in price. So what you should have been doing then is, like I said earlier, rebate the duty on imported French fries, divert all of those potatoes from French fries to fresh, and you would have then and allow us, as I say, to import rebate or duty-free, and then you would have ensured that the price of fresh potatoes as well as French fries was curtailed. So what do we do about it? We want to do something about it for the future, Mia. We need ITAC to look at this. We need them to implement a permanent mechanism. When you experience crop failure, it can be switched on immediately. No need to debate and discuss. So let's prepare for war in times of peace. It's peace now. It might be war next year, next winter. So let's be ready for it.
That's absolutely true, Fred. Just a quick one. Do you think and do you believe that ITAC currently has the right tools to forecast shortages and prevent the knock-on effect on consumers?
Mia, no, I don't believe they have the right tools. But what I suggest they do is they consult with the local Potato Producers Association, and these guys, they study these trends and patterns very well. They would be in a great position to advise, and then, as I say, possibly look to include retailers and importers and FMCG players. Form a panel of people, so we don't only hear one voice or one side of the argument. Let everybody voice their concerns and share their knowledge and experience. And I think then together we could educate ITAC and we could put these mechanisms in place that would curtail price increases, which don't benefit anyone really.
I think if we can just, end off with and zoom out a little bit, let's just take the whole potato industry as a whole. How are things looking when it comes to potato prices as we stand now?
Okay, so they've dropped back dramatically from the prices we saw in September. So fresh potatoes, I guess, price is pretty much back on trend now, but the issue here is if you consider French fries, we've had factories that were not supplied sufficiently with raw material over the course of the past few months. They have a given manufacturing output capability. They can't increase more now because there are more potatoes available. They can only produce, what the factory can produce. So we've lost an opportunity now. So in essence, you're going to run into the festive season short of supply. They can't increase capacity in the short term. That would require investment and it would take time. So ultimately, I believe fresh potatoes are pretty much back on trend price-wise, supply-wise. Frozen French fries, way higher than they were last year this time, for sure. In price, that is, and supply.
Yes, absolutely. Fred, thank you so much. It's always such a pleasure talking to you. And thank you for keeping us updated and also for the work that you guys do.
Thank you so much, Mia. Great day.